There's a crappie. All them fish are sitting so tight, I gotta get it right on that stump before they'll ever bite it. Not a real big one, but first crappie of the day. I'm gonna show y'all what I'm looking at right here. This is one stump sitting out off the end of a point. As I pan across, you can see those crappie sitting right in there. They're sitting real tight to that stump. So I have to float my bait just over that stump just right. Call those fish up out of there to get them to bite. A lot of times when you got current or you got wind, right here the situation is wind. There's a little bit of wind coming across this point, and it's got those fish positioned down there in that, on that stump. I mean, I've got to float that bait through there just right. That's the thing about a crappie, their strike zone is not real big, and I think live scope and active target have really shown that to be true. A lot of times when you're crappie fishing, you got to put it, I mean, exactly where they want it to be, or you are just not going to get that fish to bite. I mean, that's just the way it is. There's a crappie. Chased it out off of that stump and ate it. Feels like a little better fish. Yeah, it is a little better fish. That's a pretty good sized white crappie. It's pretty cool. Pretty fish. Most of y'all, I'm sure, know the difference between a white crappie and a black crappie, but the biggest way to tell the difference is you see how this one's got the bars that go vertical. A black crappie will just have kind of a speckle pattern all throughout his body, where the white crappie is more vertical. Another thing about a white crappie, they got a more pointy mouth. Their mouth comes to more of a point. You can see that. Also, a white crappie's got a little bit bigger mouth than a black crappie. But that's a pretty fish. I'm gonna let them go today. I've got some crappie in the freezer, so I'm gonna let them go. Once again, I had to get that bait in there just exactly. I mean, I had to make the exact cast, or that fish would not bite it. I'm having to pull it over the top of that stump, keep from getting hung up, and then let it float down the back side of it. And those fish are actually hanging out in the root system. I missed him. Those fish are actually hanging out in the root system of that that stump, and I'm kind of having to draw them up out of there with my bait and tease them into biting. There's one. Got him on the back side of the stump. That's a black nose crappie. That's crazy. I've caught all three species that are in this lake. We got black crappie, white crappie, and black nose crappie, and I've caught all three species. Pretty cool. Just a small one. He's a little guy. There he is. Another decent one. It's a good keeper. I'm going to show you guys here in a little while. Another good one. A little bit about what I've been looking for to find these fish. It's a pretty particular depth range that I've been catching them in. And I'm going to show you kind of how I set my graph up to fish a certain depth range, how I go about looking for these fish this time of the year. All right, let's talk about what to look for whenever we're hunting these crappie this time of the year. So right here, this is the main river channel, and we got a point. You see there's a point comes out right here, and there's a break right out there. You can see where I've got that little mark. That's where this stump is. So I'm just looking, and I'm just idling around on my side scan and down scan. I'll show you guys how I have that set up here in a second. But I'm just idling around out here and looking for these places. And you can see right there is that stump that I was fishing. It's positioned right on that break line, and you can see a few fish on it right there. So that's what I'm looking for. And the way I set my graph up, you can see right here, I'm running Lowrance HDS Pros is what I'm running. So I've got everything in red on the real shallow over here. It comes out to orange, and then after orange, it goes off into blue. Well, that's where I can tell that range from the orange to the blue, the way I've got my depth shaded right now, that's where I'm gonna be looking for fish. Because most of the fish that I've been finding are in 9 to 15 feet of water. So that's where I want to concentrate my efforts. So I don't have to waste time out here and all this stuff looking around. I'm wanting to look right up in here in the edge of this blue, right where it meets that orange. That's where I'm looking for fish, okay? And over here on this unit, this is a HDS Pro 12 Lowrance. I've got a full screen of side scan. I've got it set on 100 feet on either side, and I am running the 3-in-1 HD transducer this year, which gives me the 1075 chirp kilohertz side scan, which is really good side scan. You can see some fish right there. There's some more fish right there on side scan. Really good side scan. That's a new transducer that Lowrance came out with this year. You can run 455 chirp or 1075 chirp on the frequency. If I get in real shallow water, like 10 foot and less, and I was scanning, I'd run the 455, no doubt. But out here, 10 plus, the 1075 is pretty good. And then on my down scan, I'm running, I like 2 different palettes. I've talked about that before on my channel. I like 2 different palettes for down scan, just because some stuff will show up better on the amber, some stuff will show up better on the blue palette. So, and I'm running that on 700 kilohertz chirp. And to give you guys an idea of my settings, there's all my settings. In case you're a Lowrance guy, there's all my settings on my side imaging. There's all my settings on my down imaging right there. So but you just want whether you run Lowrance, Garmin, Humminbird, you want something that gives you a really good picture. And everybody wonders, you know, everybody thinks it's some magic formula for finding these places or finding brush piles or whatever. Guys, it's literally just putting your time in behind the steering wheel, just idling around and looking for places. This particular lake, I guarantee you I've got 150 waypoints of brush piles on this lake that some people have put out. Some of them the state have put out. Some of them are little rock piles. Just whatever I see that sticks out to me on that graph, I'm gonna mark it, because it may not have a fish today, but eventually I'm gonna find a school of crappie on it probably. So hope that helps you out a little bit. Let's idle around here, see what I can find. I'm gonna try to find a couple new spots, and we'll see what we can do. Y'all stay tuned. Show y'all what a brush pile looks like on side imaging. Right there's that stump that I had just found, that I was just fishing and caught those few fish out of. You can see it right there to the right, about 35-40 feet out. So anytime you see something that casts a shadow on side scan, then that means that particular object is sticking up off the bottom, and when that side imaging runs out there and hits it, it's catching that shadow on the other side. So the bigger the shadow, the taller the object is sticking up off the bottom. So just keep that in mind. Side imaging is a very important tool. You could take down imaging away from me. I can do what I need to do with 2D, but it'd be hard to live without side scan, because I can just break down so much water. Every time I make a swipe right here, I'm covering 200 feet every single time. So There we go. Might be a crappie. Yeah, nice one too. Change locations, change colors. Now this spot I have fished before. There's a pile of them down there. That'd be a good keeper. Oh, I didn't mean to drop you, buddy. Be a good keeper, black crappie. There we go. That hit it as soon as it got down there. Another decent crappie. Black nose there, he'd probably be just short. He's probably 9.5 inches. I don't know why they keep falling off like that quick. Let's get back in there while they're biting. There's a crappie. This feels like a good crappie here. Oh yeah, that's what we've been fishing for. He ain't as big as I thought, but he's a good one though. Come here, buddy. Well, he ate it good. It's when you know you got the right color right there, when it's down the hatch like that. I mean, he ate it good. It's a good fish. We gotta get back in there. We're having fun now. There's another one. Oh, there's no denying it when that crappie hits it. You can feel all the other little bluegill, yellow bass and all that, but when that crappie hits it, there's no doubt about it. Oh. All right, everybody, that's going to wrap up another one. Hey, I appreciate you guys following along today. I wanted to show you a little bit about my electronic setup, how I've been finding these fish. I know that's one of the biggest questions I get is about active target, about side scan, down scan, where do you start looking? I hope you learned a little something about, you know, electronics, finding fish, catching crappie, that kind of thing. They've been biting pretty dang good. I'm getting ready to head up north. I got 2 back-to-back events up there, so you might see a couple of weeks here where I don't put a video up, but I'll be back at it here in a couple of weeks when I get back home. I'm going to catch some big smallmouth, Lake Champlain, St. Lawrence River, wrap up the Bassmaster Elite Series season. So y'all hang in there with me. I appreciate you watching. I'll see you next time right here. Brandon Lester Fishing.